Hello, and welcome back to a reading of the White Album 2 Guidebook. We are continuing on with the closing chapter, Roots. We just went through kind of the flow charts of exactly what happens in the game, getting points for certain decisions that you make, etc. And it's a little complex. It's a little overly complex. I get why they did it the way that they did it, but holy cow, as a player, you're like, what the heck? I promise you it's not that bad. This chart is way more palatable. It literally walks you through the different choices you have, and then, depending on which option you choose, it shows you which route you might end on. So, in the very beginning, choice 1, I have no idea what to do with her. If you pick number 1, that leads to a Chiaki route. If you pick number 2, you could get onto normal 2 or Setsuna. So, if you want just one page to look at and know what to do to get on each heroine's route, here you go. Super simple. I'm not going to read through all the options because we already know all the questions, but within the 15 choices, which options lead to which of the 6 possible endings? Just check this table. By choosing the number shown for each choice, you can reach the corresponding ending. For blank entries, it makes no difference what you pick. There are more opportunities to raise affection for Koharu and Setsuna than are necessary for their respective branches, so it's possible to get these endings without following the table exactly. However, for normal 2, Chiaki, and Mari, you must pick exactly according to the table or you won't be able to reach them. Which is kind of funny. Like, Chiaki and Mari are a lot more picky because Koharu's a young girl with no experience and she has no idea what she's doing. Also, you can see normal 1 if the Chiaki's root flag is left on. So, we're going to check through some additional text, which unlocks if you fulfill certain requirements throughout CC. There are also accompanying images to these. So, number 1 goes with image number 1. Setsuna reluctantly goes to a party with guys from the medical school. Unbeknownst to Haruki, Setsuna and Chiaki actually run into each other there. After helping Setsuna out, Chiaki falsely introduces herself as Shoko Nagase from the business department, and they have a conversation. This scene is inserted as Haruki and Koharu are looking for Setsuna together. The scene is like shocking. The scene is so good because you're like, what? That's Chiaki. What is she doing? Why is she lying? Like, oh, it's so good. So good. Number 2. As Haruki is pressed by the deadline for his Kazusatoma special feature, and Koharu and Mari view the DVD of the high school concert, Chiaki visits the Watos theater troupe to which she belongs. What is the purpose behind her telling Uehara, the proprietor of Watos, that she's found the perfect partner? What indeed? Number 3. While working on a report with Chiaki, Haruki makes dinner as usual. Takeya contacts him, and for some reason, Chiaki leaves Haruki's apartment. Yeah, for some reason. She just wanted to give him space. After that, Haruki drinks the night away with Takeya and Io. When Io wakes up in the morning, she realizes she's in Haruki's bathroom. Look at her image. She's like, wait. Number 4. The day after finally finishing her report, Chiaki leaves Haruki's apartment and has a phone call with her mother. The night before, when she stayed over at Haruki's apartment, she talked about having a complicated family situation and things not being great with her mother. But they actually seem very close, and there don't appear to be any problems at all. Because Chiaki's kind of a liar, similar to Haruki. Chiaki does not attend the end-of-year party with her seminar peers. Her actions up until Haruki calls her partway through the party become clear. As she waits on Haruki's unusually late arrival for their planned meetup, she happens to run into Setsuna, and the two of them have an end-of-year party of their own. After chatting with Setsuna in a cafe until night falls, she comes to understand her charm and a fragment of her feelings for Haruki. which is why she was in such a daze. If you call, well, yeah, you always call her during the party to find out where she is. And she's like, what? Come see me. Like, she's confused. But she's also had a realization. But she also really wants to see Haruki. Like, it's so good. I just really like the flow of it. Number 6. After her 2-person end-of-year party with Setsuna ends, Chiaki leaves her and waits for Haruki to show up. Now understanding Setsuna's appeal, Chiaki fires herself up again to play the part of the woman that is at least her equal. And then we move on to additional Koharu text in orange. I love the color coding of this book. I think they did it really, really well. As the male students at the seminar end-of-year party are harassing Haruki over Chiaki not showing up, Haruki learns that it's been assumed that he was dating Chiaki. At that moment, he remembers something Koharu said to him before. And then Koharu's little text, "You don't have any idea when people at your university, your other jobs, started acting like it was official?" Because he doesn't. Haruki is so, I don't know the word, oblivious. Yeah, that's the word. He's so oblivious to some things. He's so oblivious to some girls having a crush on him and flirting with him and his own feelings. And then, additional Mari text. After their work is over, Haruki and Mari leave Kaio together. On their way home, Mari buys a copy of the issue of Ensemble in which Haruki's Kazusa Toma special feature appears, saying it's in honor of her employee's first big accomplishment. After hearing what she has to say, Haruki gets the notion of buying it himself as well. However, after the two have parted ways on the train, Mari's feelings regarding Haruki's actions are laid bare. "He made me look like an idiot." Which, no, he didn't. That's just all in your head. A lot of things happen in Mari's head that aren't really the way things actually went. Closing chapter event CGs. There are so many more than before. Ooh, looks like 10 got overwritten. A bit of a typo there. So starting with Koharu's route, we'll just go in order of the heroines, starting with Stubborn Warmth. Why they had to have a picture of the girls at Goodies changing? Well, that's just fan service, baby. Broken Breaks, which is when things really started getting serious for Koharu and Haruki. First, Sleepover. I don't even have to mention what that was. Koharu's route is so blunt. What is number 7? That's like, oh my god. Every heroine sleeps with Haruki. And I know it's supposed to be a play on like the bullying and the bully's words, but Jesus Christ, like, I hate that so much. Poor Koharu, dude. A Path Walked Together. Again, really heartbreaking scenes, really high school drama. Ooh, number 13, A Smile Through the Window. This is one of the biggest White Album 2 moments, I feel like. Haruki walks by the window after Setsuna's, after they've broken up and they've talked about it, and she's smiling. Dude, Koharu walks by the window and Setsuna's bawling, and yeah, she's bawling her eyes out like, oh my god. That was powerful. That was so well done. Then, we move on to Chiaki's route. Starting with Christmas Eve when she is dressed up like Santa Claus. And we get some nice fan service of Santa One-san, as she's called. Days of Depravity, because she just has Haruki do nothing. Except for, well, maybe one thing. Chiaki Seno, Class 3G, which is when Haruki first starts catching on to things. And then Akira Senoichi of the Wato's troupe, where Haruki like shoves her down and is yelling at her. That was so funny. And it's like, yup, you got used. Collapsing Act, when Haruki decided to go back to Chiaki for whatever reason. Look, as much as I love Chiaki's route, I strongly disagree with his decision to go back to Koharu and start feeding her chocolates that day. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, after everything, are you serious? The fact that things ended up working out into her own route is really just by luck. Don't do this in real life. Don't go back to someone who was like so crazy to you. And it continues with Chiaki acting and then crying after the acting. That was good. It was a good end. Not the best end, but an interesting one. Mari's route, starting off with Mari working and getting the Christmas party, personal Christmas party with Haruki. That was so cute. Near miss on New Year's Eve because he just missed Kazusa. A night of mistakes because Haruki just, instead of the normal way where relationships usually go, which is like confessing your feelings and then getting closer and then becoming physical, nope. It's just, bam, become physical. A maiden's aphrodisiac where Mari decides she wants to be physical. Stagnation and lust because that's pretty much all they do on Mari's route. Which is a shame, you know. I wish it showed more of like Mari and Haruki having dates, Mari and Haruki doing fun things together. I know there's limitations on the timing and I know what kind of game it is, and maybe that's not possible, but I feel like Mari's route was really the most like, let's get together, let's sleep together, and then that was kind of it, you know? We saw the baseball with her friend, but that was it. February 14th, because Haruki decided to go chill with Setsuna instead of being there for his girlfriend. I'm dumping you. That was sad and that was hard. Like, breaking up with your girlfriend, but then spending one last night just cuddling. Man, that's emotional. Whether or not you agree with being able to cuddle at this point, like, it's just powerful. I don't even know how I feel about it, really. Would I be mad if I was Mari and I find out that he was cuddling Setsuna at that point? Yeah. If I were Setsuna, would I want to be cuddling him before saying goodbye? Also, yeah. So, tough. And then moving to Setsuna's route. New night, comeback night. New Year's Eve, that's when she gets that call from Haruki. He's like, I still love you. Cowardly girl, because she keeps running away. But then the quiet restart where Haruki plays guitar for her and she just cuddles her phone. It's so cute. 4 years worth of Valentines, Setsuna's birthday, and the day that Haruki and Setsuna performed together and he took her away. The day the show ended. And then we move right to the beginning in Strasbourg, which, Setsuna's route doesn't stay calm for very long. Because that leads us right into coda. And by the way, I love this graphic. Like, oh my God. Heartbreaking. Because if you know, you know. If you don't know, it just looks like a beautiful graphic. But if you know, oh, so painful. Coda. Ending. As of a musical piece or movement. Coda. Conclusion. Coda. Final chapter. Once Setsuna's route in closing chapter has been cleared, coda will begin. 2 years have passed, and Haruki, a fully fledged working man, heads to Strasbourg for a business trip. There, after 5 years apart, he reunites with Kazusa. Which is like a what are the chances kind of thing, you know? Literally the night where he has an engagement ring in his pocket, it's like, boop. There's Kazusa. There's your old love. Like, obviously the game is written to have that perfect timing, but like, geez Louise. It just goes to show, though, any decision in your life, no matter how stupid or trivial, could drastically change how you live the rest of your life. You never know. You know those stories about people who fall in love, and it's such a chance meeting with them? Like someone tripped on the road and someone's like, oh, are you okay? And then they meet and then they fall in love and they have kids and they have grandkids. Like, oh my God, that was such a tiny thing that happened. Anyway, I think about that a lot. And that's kind of how I feel about White Album too. The tiniest thing. So, story summary of Coda. Following his graduation from college, Haruki has become a full-time employee at Kaio. He and Setsuna have carried on a favorable relationship since the Valentine's Day concert at Hojo 2 years ago, and both his work life and his private life have been fulfilling. However, just as he's thinking it might be time to get married to Setsuna, he happens to run into Kazusa while on a business trip in Strasbourg. And with Kazusa having a performance in Japan scheduled for after he returns, it falls to him to handle her close coverage. Again, I get that it's a very, very brief summary, but like, he chose the close coverage. I just want to say that wasn't a necessity. Not that the game actually gives you a choice to refuse it, but like, he definitely didn't have to do that. With this state of things, the feelings for Kazusa that Haruki has tried so hard to forget about over the past 5 years are reawakened. At Yoko's direction, Kazusa starts living in the apartment next to Haruki's. A genius idea, really. Until her concert in Japan is over. Haruki hides this fact from Setsuna. It just is frustrating, though, because while obviously Setsuna would have her negative feelings about the fact that Haruki and Kazusa are within a stone's throw away, deep down she would be happy to see Kazusa again. And that's one of the things she says. She's like, why didn't you tell me? Like, I would have wanted to meet up with Kazusa. And it's true. Haruki carries out his close coverage of Kazusa. As they revisit Music Room number 2 at Hojo High School, Kazusa tells him about what really happened that day. The kiss, the everything. Whew, that was a tough scene to play through. So sad. And then we have new character profiles. Starting with Haruki Kitahara, who still doesn't have his own image. A newbie editor at the Kaio Graph. Ever since Mari transferred to New York, his working style has led people to view him as Kazuoka II. I miss Mari. The special feature on Kazusa that he was in charge of 2 years ago was received favorably on all fronts, leading him to be entrusted with interviewing Kazusa while abroad, as well as doing close coverage on her when she returns to Japan. His work related to Kazusa has been given top priority. He had been thinking of proposing to Setsuna while overseas, but meeting up with Kazusa again causes him to postpone it. So sad. He was so close. So, let's go ahead and start with Takeya. Takeya Izuka, Haruki's best friend, who works for a cosmetics company. Which honestly, I think is super fitting for Takeya. He's like the pretty boy. He's very, very handsome and very smooth and suave. Of course he's working at a cosmetics company. He manages a store in Tokyo and is rated highly. Since he graduated college, he has ended his various relationships with women and seems to be showing a greater faithfulness to Io. Which, it's about time. Io Mizusawa, Setsuna's best friend who works for a sports supply manufacturer. Her wish was to work in design, but she has been assigned to the personnel department. She stifles her unhappiness with her situation while she works, and lately has been venting to her friends a good deal. Which, I get to a certain extent. You don't want to constantly hear your friends be venting. But at the same time, Takeya snaps at Io really early on. He's like, stop complaining. You're not this kind of person. I'm like, really? Everybody complains about their work. That's normal. Tomo Yanagihara, who is still around. A senior at Hojo University. Now, in the final stage of her job search, she has received an unofficial offer from Toa TV. Her strange friendship with Setsuna has continued, and she has been making efforts to polish up and promote Setsuna's talents as a singer. Yoko Toma, an international pianist, Kazusa's mother and the director of Yoko Toma offices, is working to make her daughter's performance in Japan a reality, because she really wants Kazusa to do well as a pianist. Miyoko Kudo, the sole employee of the Japanese branch of Yoko Toma offices. Her excellence allows her, in some way or another, to put the director's many whims into action. In other words, she's an easily adaptable person. I love Miyoko. She's so nice. Takayanagi, director of the Hojo University Medical Department and an internationally renowned authority on leukemia, has known Yoko for a long time and is someone she relies on. For more reasons other than her leukemia, but it was kind of a deciding factor for her coming back to Japan. Next, we have Takahiro Ogiso, Setsuna's younger brother, attending Hojo University. Shows an understanding of Setsuna and Haruki's relations, and when opinions differ between her and their parents, he generally sides with his sister. Aww, good little brother. Although, I am glad that Takahiro is able to have his own opinions as well. Like when Haruki is being super awful, he knows it. And that horrible, horrible scene when Haruki's like, hey, I'm breaking up with your daughter and leaving the country. And the family's so upset. And Takahiro's like, how dare you? How could you do this? And like beats up Haruki. I'm like, good little brother. Not that I condone violence, but like, oh my God, that was so sweet of him. Setsuna's mother. When opposition arises between the emotional Setsuna and her rational husband in Oiso family discussions, Setsuna's mother often offers a more neutral view. Because in reality, like usually both people on each side of an argument are semi-right. Well, no, I guess I take that back. But in the discussions between Setsuna and Setsuna's dad, yeah, both sides are usually a little bit right. And then Setsuna's father places a great importance on common sense, as should we all, really. His remarks are often correct, but the other three members of his family occasionally talk him down with their more emotional arguments. And then we move to Kazusa and Setsuna, who definitely have some typos on there. It's supposed to say heroine on each of them. So starting with Setsuna Ogiso, Haruki's girlfriend, who works in PR for Knight's Record, a medium-sized music company. Her famed beauty is unchanged since her university days, and she works busily as a liaison with client companies. Really, she's found a great career for herself. Also, at Tomo's request, she sometimes works as a singer for live shows. At present, her relationship with Haruki is one of open, comfortable, mutual love. I love how they have to say at present, like, not forever, but at least for now, they have a great relationship. And her friends and family both recognize it as such. However, in her stubbornness in keeping up with the 1-week rule she established with Haruki 2 years ago, it seems that in the base of her heart, some little kernel of uncertainty has not been entirely wiped out. Which, okay, that's fair. Like, I don't disagree with the idea that she has uncertainty, but I also believe that the 1-week rule is really, like, natural, I feel like. Considering that you're living and working, let's say within, I forget how far apart the subway ride is, maybe like 15 minutes. Let's say 15 minutes. You're 15 minutes away from someone. Yeah, if you're dating at that point, you should be seeing them at least once a week. Do I think if Haruki's on a business trip that should apply? No, I think that's kind of silly. But other than that, I think expecting to see your boyfriend once a week is like pretty rational. I don't think that has to stem from uncertainty. I think that's just like, yeah, I want to see my boyfriend once a week. Really? That's only 52 times a year. And then we have Kazusatoma, who has made her reappearance after only appearing one tiny time in CC. An active pianist based in Vienna. While her experience is scant, her placing in an international piano competition has made her widely known, including in Japan. Unable to forget her feelings for Haruki, she has kept them hidden away in her heart for the past 5 years, playing the piano on her own. Dude, 5 years, that's a long time. At first, she was less than enthusiastic about the Japanese concert that her mother and producer, Yoko, proposed, but she returns to Japan in order to respond to Haruki's words after they reunite. As she carries on her pseudo cohabitation with Haruki in name of close coverage, those feelings come to be more than she can suppress. Well, crushes are easy to form. They're a little bit more difficult to act on. Just saying. And then we have the play guide of coda. So, the chapter structure of coda, I feel like, is not as convoluted as CC, mainly because there's really only 2 heroines. You have Kazusa or Setsuna. Obviously, you have different roots within those 2 heroines, but it's a little more straightforward as to how to reach each root. So, as shown below, based on conditions fulfilled in the course of the common root, the story of coda branches off into one of 3 roots: Setsuna, Kazusa, and cheating, or else to normal ending 3. So this is an important distinction because the fan base, a lot of people would just refer to it as the cheating ending. The official ending title is Kazusa Normal. Kazusa Normal has lots of cheating in it, hence why it's declared the cheating ending. Also, starting from the second time you play, following what changed, what should never change, additional text pertaining to Kazusa or Setsuna will be inserted, most of which are shown in scene replay mode as separate episodes. Furthermore, there is one episode, Ashen Choice 2, that can only be viewed starting on the second playthrough of the cheating route specifically. Starting the second time you play, you will see new content, including actions Kazusa took that Haruki didn't know about, and a conversation between Kazusa and Yoko. There are actually multiple conversations between Kazusa and Yoko. It is very interesting. Kind of like going back after you do Chiaki normal and replaying introductory chapter. Really, you have to go back and replay coda as well. You'll see so much more content, and it really gives you insight into what was happening. Based on the 2 choices at a choice that should never have been, plus the status of flags at that point, you will reach one of 4 endings. So, heading into the episode chart. Round 2 plus additional episodes. That's what we just said. If you play through it twice, you will unlock different episodes. I'm not going to read every choice in this chart, but we will go through the CGs that come of these choices later. Heroine route episodes and cheating route episodes. Episodes appearing in Setsuna and Kazusa's heroine routes and in the cheating route. The cheating route is in gray because it's evil. They can be seen by branching off into the corresponding route. If you take the cheating route a second time, then following unwritten rules, you will briefly branch off to an episode that differs from your first time playing, with new text added. So Setsuna's pink, Kazusa's blue, and cheating route will be gray. Route guide to coda. So this is really where we get into what do you have to do to get each route in coda, which is important. With CC, it's harder to get, no, opposite. In CC, it's easier to get the root that you want because it's just like, yeah, if you want to be with Mari, just say all good things to Mari, you know. In coda, sometimes the decisions are a little bit like, which one is the good one, you know? For example, in the one on the right, the picture on the right, I just wanted to see you or tell the truth. Like, which one does Setsuna want to hear? Which one would lead to a Kazusa root in that case, you know? Do you want to tell the truth? Or do you want to just keep lying to Setsuna and kind of keep things smooth? So in coda, I could see it being a little bit more confusing without having the guide chart. In which case, this is going to be useful. Of course, if you're watching this, I assume you've already beaten it and you know how to get it, but we'll see kind of the technical points behind it all. So, before we head into the next part, I'm going to stop there for today. So, thank you very much for joining me on this episode of the White Album 2 official guidebook, and I'll be back with the next part shortly. Until then, hope you take care. See you.